The metal floor creaked under Leo's boots as he stepped deeper into the wrecked starship. Smoke still floated in the air. Broken wires dangled from the ceiling like vines. Sparks flashed from a shattered panel, but Leo didn't flinch. He had explored dozens of crash sites before. He knew what to expect: scrap, burned-out tech, maybe a dead body or two. But this time, something was different. He paused. There behind the stacked crates in the cargo hold, he heard something, a sound that didn't belong to a dying ship. Not an engine hum, not a computer voice. It was crying, soft and shaky, like someone was trying not to be heard. Leo crouched low and moved slowly. The crates were tall and sealed tight, covered in alien markings. He kept his hand near the handle of his plasma knife, just in case. He stepped around the last crate and froze. Behind it, squeezed between the wall and the metal storage unit, was a girl. But not just any girl. She was massive, curled up tightly, hugging her knees. Her back nearly touched the ceiling beam. Her arms were thick and muscular. Her legs were long, wrapped in torn cloth, and her bare feet were wider than his chest. Pale purple skin shimmered under the emergency lights. Her white blonde hair was tangled and dusty, hiding most of her face. She noticed him and gasped. Her glowing violet eyes locked onto Leo, wide with fear. She tried to shrink even smaller, as if she could disappear into the corner. "Hey," Leo said softly, raising both hands. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't answer. Her lip trembled. Her chest rose and fell in quick breaths. He noticed then her wrists were bruised. She'd been tied up before. Her arms had markings too, like someone had branded her. Leo looked around. No one else was alive. No guards, no other passengers. Just her. "You're not a prisoner anymore," Leo said. "You're safe. Do you understand me?" Still no answer then. Slowly she nodded. "What's your name?" he asked. Her lips moved but no sound came. Then in a cracked whisper she said, "Yana." He stepped back a little, giving her space. "I'm Leo. I'm human. I found your ship while scavenging. I have food, a shelter outside. If you want, you can come with me." Yuna didn't move, her eyes lowered to the floor. "My body is too big," she said quietly. "I was never supposed to leave this ship." Leo tilted his head. "What do you mean?" She swallowed hard. "My kind made me to breed. But I failed. They said my body was wrong. I couldn't carry, so they locked me in storage. I was supposed to die in here." Leo felt a tight knot in his chest. The way she said it, like it was normal, like it was her fate, made his blood boil. "I don't care what they said," he said. "No one deserves that." She looked up again, her eyes shimmering. "You'll sell me too, right? That's why you're here." Leo blinked. "No, I'm not that kind of man." She studied his face for a long moment, as if trying to see if he was lying. Then she shifted. Slowly, carefully, Yana pushed herself up. The crate behind her groaned as her back touched it. When she stood to full height, Leo's mouth went dry. She towered over him, easily over 8 feet tall, maybe more. Her shoulders were broad, her hips wide, and her curves powerful. Yet despite her size, she looked unsure, like a child waiting to be judged. She wrapped the cloth around her chest tighter. "I can walk," she said. Leo stepped aside, letting her pass. She moved carefully, ducking under broken beams. The door to the cargo hold was almost too small for her. She had to crouch to get through. Outside, the wind blew dust across the rocky desert. Leo led her to his small hovercraft. She looked at it, then at him. "It's not much," Leo said, "but it gets us out of here." She nodded once. As they climbed into the cart, Leo handed her a water flask. She took it with both hands, almost like it was sacred. She drank slowly, her eyes closing with relief. Then, for the first time, she whispered, "Thank you." Leo looked at her. She was still trembling, still guarded, but something had changed. A seed of trust had been planted as they sped across the sand. He glanced at her again. Yana, the giant girl behind the crate, was no longer locked away. She was free, and he had no idea how much his life was about to change. The campfire cracked softly, throwing flickers of orange light across the stone walls of Leo's desert shelter. Wind howled outside, but inside, it was quiet. Too quiet. Yana sat with her back to him, knees pulled close, thick arms wrapped tight around her body. Her white blonde hair spilled down her back like a waterfall, covering most of her shoulders. She wore a new cloth wrap Leo had stitched for her, but still, she clutched it like armor. She hadn't spoken a full sentence since they arrived. Leo stirred the small pot of stew over the fire. The smell of warm roots and desert herbs filled the air, but Yuna hadn't eaten much all day. She only took a few bites, then went still again. He tried not to stare at her body, but it was hard to ignore. She was massive, built with powerful curves and deep strength. Yet there was always something fragile in the way she moved, like she wanted to disappear. "I can fix a mirror if you want one," Leo said gently, just trying to start a conversation. Her head turned slightly. "Why?" "To see yourself." She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "I've never seen my whole reflection." Leo blinked. "Never." "There were no mirrors in the breeding camps," she said. "Only scanners. Machines judged us, not people." She looked down at her hands, turning them over. Every scan said the same thing. "My hips were too wide, my belly too soft, my everything too big." They said my kind was made to carry 10 children at once. I couldn't even hold one. So they called me failed stock, unfit, useless, Leos. Chest tightened. He stood, walked to the far wall, and grabbed a small metal sheet. It was bent, scratched, and barely reflective, but it could work. He walked over and placed it beside her. If you want to see yourself, he said, don't. Ask the machines. Yana looked at it, then turned away quickly. I don't want to see what they hated, she said, voice cracking. I already feel it. Leo sat across from her, not too close. I don't hate it, he said. She glanced up, her glowing violet eyes searching his face for lies. I'm serious, Leo added. I've seen many alien kinds. You're strong, beautiful, the kind of beauty that doesn't need approval. She shook her head, laughing once, bitter and low. You're just saying that to make me feel useful. That's what males always do before they throw us away. I don't throw people away, Leo said. Una stared into the fire, and her voice came softer. They used to weigh us, measure us, inject us. Then they lined us up in the breeding pods. If you failed, you were removed. The others, they laughed at me. They said my body was made for birthing kings, but I was too broken to even carry a servant seed. Leo's jaw tightened. That's not your fault. I know, she whispered, but I still feel like it is. The silence returned for a moment. Then Leo asked, do you want to see how I see you? Una looked up. He reached slowly into his satchel and pulled out a worn sketchpad. I draw, he said simply. Helps me think. She looked at it suspiciously. You want to draw me? If you let me, he said. Not for them, just for you. How I see you. For a long moment Una said nothing, then slowly she turned to face him more fully. She still kept her arms across her chest, but her posture was different now, just a little less guarded. You can draw, she said softly, but not my whole body, just my face. Leo nodded, respectful. He began to sketch, eyes focused, hand moving slow and gentle. As he drew, he noticed little things, her cheekbones sharp like carved stone, the way her lashes curved, the sadness in her eyes that didn't hide her strength. 20 minutes passed. Then he turned the page around. She stared at it. Her hand trembled as she reached out, fingertips brushing the paper. This is me, she asked. Yes, Leo said. How I see you. She looked at him, her eyes bright. For the first time, she didn't look away. You didn't make me look small, she whispered. You're not small, Leo said. You're powerful, proud, and worth seeing. Una held the sketch to her chest. She didn't speak again that night, but when the fire burned low and Leo started to lay out his bedrolls, she spoke one last time. Leo, she said quietly. Yeah, thank you for not looking at me like I'm broken. Leo looked over his shoulder. She was finally facing him, no longer hiding in the shadows. And in that moment, he knew he hadn't just saved a life, he had found something worth fighting for. Lightning cracked across the sky. Yana sat upright, eyes wide, as the roof shook from the force of the wind. She had never heard thunder like that before. Her people lived in underground chambers, not surface shelters. The storm outside roared, louder. Inside Leo's handmade desert shelter, dust rained from the ceiling beams. The metal panels creaked under pressure. Una pulled the heavy cloth over her shoulders and glanced at Leo, who was hurrying to fasten the door tighter. Is this normal? She asked, voice tense. Not really, Leo muttered, tying down a loose panel with thick wire. The desert doesn't usually throw tantrums like this. Then, the lights flickered once, twice. Twazan went dark. The fire had gone out. Yona rose to her full height, steady but alert. Her wide shoulders nearly brushed the ceiling. The wind howled louder and something slammed against the outer, while Leo grabbed his bag, pulling out 2 emergency glow bars and handed one to her. If things get worse, we run for the cave, he said. Yon Na took the bar in her large hand, but didn't speak. Her eyes scanned the weak shelter walls. They didn't look strong enough to hold against a real storm. Moments later, the front beam cracked. Leo, she shouted. He turned just in time to see the ceiling start to fall. The main support split in half, and the roof above them gave way. Leo didn't think. He leaped toward her, trying to shield her. But Una moved faster with one giant step. She threw herself between Leo and the collapsing roof. Her thick arms grabbed the beam midair. Wood and metal crashed around them, but she braced herself, body trembling under the pressure. Leo fell to the ground, coughing, covered in dust. When he looked up, Una was holding the ceiling up, shoulders shaking. Eyes shut, legs locked. Get out, she growled. I'm not leaving you. Then move. Leo scrambled to the side. Yana let go of the beam and dived after him just as the rest came crashing down. They landed hard in the sand, just outside the wrecked shelter. The storm screamed around them, wind whipping her hair in all directions. Leo tried to catch his breath, but his chest ached. Yana rolled off him, shielding his body again with her own. Her arms curled around him like a wall. Her breath was hot, heavy, trembling. When the worst of the wind passed, Leo opened his eyes. I thought you said your body was a failure, he said softly. She didn't answer. I've never seen anyone hold a ceiling. Still no answer, so he reached up and gently touched her cheek. You saved my life. Her violet eyes blinked once, then twice. She rolled back a little, just enough to sit upright. and looked at her hands. Her fingers were bruised and cut. I didn't think, she whispered. You didn't have to, Leo said. You just moved. She hugged her knees again, her arms wrapping tightly around her thick legs. I thought I was useless. Well, he said, smiling through a bit of blood on his lip. Remind me to call you useless next time something tries to kill me. Her lip twitched. He saw it's the tiniest hint of a smile, but then she looked away. You're hurt. I'll live, he said. Thanks to you. The two of them sat in silence for a moment. The storm kept blowing, but it had passed its peak. Only dry wind and drifting dust remained. Yuna shifted slightly, and her giant hand reached out to fix his torn collar. She touched him carefully like he might break. You're small, she said softly, but you're brave. He looked up. You're huge, and you're kind. She laughed an actual laugh, short and surprised, like she hadn't expected it to come out. Then she covered her mouth, shy again. I'm sorry, she said. It's just the way you say it. It's true, Leo said. You risked yourself for me. No one's ever thanked me for being big before, she whispered. He tilted his head. Then let me be the first. As the wind calmed, they stood and looked at the broken shelter. Half of it was crushed. The rest wasn't safe anymore. There's a cave 3 minutes north, Leo said. Natural stone walls. Should be solid. Yuna nodded. I can carry the supplies. You sure? I'm not weak, she said, smiling faintly. Together, they packed what they could. Yuna lifted a full supply crate with ease. Leo carried the weapons and small gear. As they walked toward the cave, the desert sky cleared and the stars peeked through. Inside the stone cave it was cooler and quiet. They rebuilt the fire and laid down their blankets side by side. Yuna curled into her wrap, eyes flickering in the glow of the flames. You're different, Leo, she said. How so? You don't run from me. You don't laugh at me. You all laugh at me. Don't treat me like I'm a tool. He turned to her and said, You're not a tool, Yana. You're a person. And tonight, you were my hero. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply. And for the first time since they met, she didn't sleep curled away. She slept facing him. Yona stood ankle-deep in the lake, her toes sinking into soft, wet sand. The water shimmered under the morning sun, cool against her skin. Her thick legs, strong and scarred, broke the gentle ripples around her. She didn't move much, just stood there, staring at her reflection. It wasn't clear. The surface trembled too much. But even the broken image made her chest tighten behind her. Leo watched from a flat rock. He had just finished washing his face and now dried his hands on a towel. He didn't say anything yet. He knew this silence wasn't the kind that needed words. It was the kind that carried something heavy. Then Eunice spoke, voice low and distant. I used to dream of being a mother. Leo looked up. My kind, she continued, are born in birthing domes. We are grown, not raised. Once we're strong enough, they test us, breed us, use us. She looked down at her large hands. They said I had perfect structure, perfect curves, everything needed to carry strong children, but nothing ever came. Leo stood and walked toward the lake's edge, keeping a respectful distance. That wasn't your fault. She shook her head slowly. They made me try again and again. Different males, stronger ones. Then they stopped. I was marked as unfit, sent to a storage pod left behind. Her voice cracked now. I wasn't just called useless, I was empty. Leo stepped into the water beside her, boots forgotten. You're not empty. She didn't look at him. You don't understand. In my world, a female's worth is her ability to breed. If she can't, she's thrown out. They don't care how kind you are, how brave. They only care if you could make more. You're not in their world anymore, Leo said gently. She finally looked at him. But I carry their shame. There was a long pause. Then Leo said, come here. She hesitated but stepped closer. Water splashed between them. He reached up and placed a hand against her belly. She froze. What are you? I'm just touching, he said. The part of you they tried to break. Her breath caught. I don't care what they said, Leo continued. I see you, all of you. And I don't want you because of what you might give me. I want you because of what you already are. Yuna blinked rapidly. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Strong, he said, fingers tracing gentle circles. Warm, fierce. You protected me, saved me, stayed beside me. Your body is powerful, but your heart is stronger. Tears welled in her eyes. You really mean that? I wouldn't be here if I didn't. She leaned down then, resting her forehead gently against his. Her breath was shaky. I've never wanted to be touched before. Not like this. Then let me be the first, he whispered. They stayed that way for a while, standing in the lake, silent and close. The breeze moved her long hair over his shoulders. Her arms, larger than his whole torso, wrapped around him gently, like she was afraid to break him later. Back at the cave, they shared food and laughter. Yuna even tried to cook, though she burned the roots. Leo didn't mind. Seeing her smile again was enough. But when the fire dimmed and night crept in, Yuna became quiet once more. She crawled onto her blanket, then paused. Leo, she said softly. Yeah, she didn't face him when she spoke. Even if I wanted to be yours, to be close like a mate, you should know something. He sat up, listening. My body still doesn't work right. I can't give you a child, no matter how much we try. Leo was quiet for a moment. Then he said, That's not why I want you. She looked over her shoulder, surprised he moved closer. If you never carry anything in your belly, you've already carried me in your heart. That's more than enough. Yuna's lip trembled. Then, slowly, she turned to him. No one's ever said that to me before. I'll say it every day if you stay. She crawled into his blanket then, massive body moving with surprising gentleness. She curled beside him, letting him wrap his arms around her as best he could for the first time. She didn't feel like a failure. She felt wanted, she felt whole, and though she believed her body could never bring life, something had already begun to grow, something neither of them could see yet. Yana stood near the cave entrance, wrapped in a thick hide Leo had given her. It was early morning, but the sun had not yet crested the cliffs. The world was blue and silent. Only the wind moved. She placed both hands over her stomach. There was a strange warmth there. Not pain, not hunger, something else. She breathed in deep, closing her eyes. Maybe she was imagining it. Maybe it was just a dream her heart wanted too much. Inside the cave, Leo stirred awake, rubbing his eyes. He noticed her standing in the soft light and sat up quietly. You okay? He called gently. She turned, nodding, but her smile was distant. I had a dream, she said, a strange one. Leo walked over, barefoot on the stone floor. Tell me. Yana looked at him, then looked down again. I dreamed I was holding something. No, someone. A small bundle, warm breathing. My arms were full, but not with fear or shame, just life. Leo's brows lifted. Was it a baby? Yuna hesitated. I think so. But it didn't look like me, or you. It was both. He stepped beside her and looked out at the sky with her. Dreams are strange, he said, but sometimes they tell the truth we don't want to admit. She looked down at her belly again, her hands resting gently there. Then she whispered, Leo, can I ask you something strange? Of course. Would you touch it? He looked at her belly, then back at her face. You sure? She nodded once. So slowly, carefully, Leo reached out. His hand was small compared to the size of her stomach. She watched his fingers touch her warm skin just beneath her wrap. Her body tensed at first, but then it relaxed. Her breath deepened. His touch was gentle, like falling snow. I've never let anyone do that before, she said. He didn't respond with words. He just kept his hand there, warm and steady. I used to hate this part of me, she whispered. I thought it was the reason I was thrown away. Leo looked up at her. This part of you is where life might begin. It's the most powerful place I've ever touched. Yuna's lips trembled, but she didn't look away. You don't feel shame when you look at me, she asked. No, he said. I feel lucky. She laughed softly, brushing hair from her face. You always say the strangest things. Because you've lived your whole life hearing lies. I'm just trying to tell you something real. Her stomach made a soft noise. A flutter, she gasped. What was that? She asked quickly. Leo had felt it too, like a light twitch under her skin. I don't know, he said slowly, but I felt it. She placed both hands over his, pressing them firmly to her belly. It can't be, she whispered. It's too soon. Leo stared at her. Are you? No. She shook her head, her voice rising. That's not possible. My kind takes seasons to show anything, and I was broken. I am broken. But she kept her hands there. The flutter came again. Her whole body stiffened. She looked down, as if her own skin had betrayed her. Leo pulled her into a hug, arms wrapping around her thick waist. Even if it's nothing, I'll still be here. Even if it's something impossible, we'll face it together. I don't know how to be a mother, she said, shaking. You know how to love. That's where it starts. She sank down slowly onto the cave floor, pulling him with her. She held his face between her palms, tears in her glowing eyes. Leo, she whispered, what if I'm not broken? He smiled, forehead resting against hers. Then you're not only whole, you're a miracle. Yana laughed and cried at the same time. That night, she didn't sleep alone. They lay together, her body wrapped around his hand resting over the place that had once felt empty to her now. For the first time, it felt full. She no longer feared the weight inside her. She welcomed it, not because it proved her value, but because it was theirs, and something new had begun. Leo woke to the sound of shallow breathing, not panic, not pain, but something between wonder and fear. He turned his head and saw Yana sitting up, legs crossed, hands pressed over her belly. Her wrap had slipped off one shoulder, but she didn't notice. Her eyes were wide and glowing in the dim cave light. She was whispering to herself. Yona, he asked softly, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. She looked at him with trembling lips. Leo, something's moving inside me. He sat up fast, heart skipping like before. He asked. She nodded. No, stronger, clearer. She took his hand and pressed it hard against her stomach. Right here. Leo held his breath, waiting. Then he felt it. A push, not a twitch, not a flutter, a real living movement. It was impossible. His hand stayed there, frozen. Yana wasn't even breathing now. She stared at him like he held an answer to something ancient and forbidden. Leo, she whispered, this can't be real. It is, he said quietly. Her hands shook. I was made to breed with my kind, not yours. It's not supposed to happen biologically, genetically it can't work. He nodded. You told me that. She looked down. So then what's inside me? He didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he said, maybe it's not about what's supposed to work. Maybe it's about what chose to work. Yona closed her eyes. Her breaths came slower now, deeper. There's a life growing inside me, Leo. A real life. With you. He nodded. And I don't know what to do. She whispered. You don't have to know yet, he said. We'll learn together. She pulled her knees up and wrapped her arms around them, rocking slowly. When I was in the breeding cells, I prayed that one day someone would look at me not just for what I could give but for who I was. Leo sat beside her, leaning in, and now she looked at him, her voice soft. Now I don't want to be alone when it happens. You're not alone, he said. Then he reached for his old datapad. I have something, a scanner. It's basic, but maybe it can tell us more. Yana watched nervously as he opened the panel and attached a sensor wire to her belly. The screen blinked, then beeped. A pulsing signal appeared. 1 pulse. 2.3 heartbeat. Leo said. Breath caught in his throat. Her hand flew to her mouth. Tears flooded her eyes. It's alive. Leo nodded slowly, jaw tight with emotion. It's real, Yuna. You're carrying life. Her voice cracked. Mine and yours. I think so, he whispered. It has your warmth and my rhythm. She laughed, choked on a sob, then held the scanner to her chest like a sacred stone. No one will believe this, she said. I don't care, Leo answered. I believe it, you believe it. That's enough. She leaned her head against his shoulder, both of them staring at the pulsing light on the screen. I'm scared. She admitted. Me too, he said, but I want to meet it. She whispered. Leo kissed her hair. So do I. She looked at the cave walls, at the rough stone, the blankets, the worn-out gear, the quiet sky above them. This place is where I thought I'd die, she said. Now it's where something begins. Leo stood and offered her his hand. She took it and rose slowly. Her body felt heavier now, but in a good way. Not with shame, but with purpose. We'll need supplies, she said. Food, warmth, space. I'll build, Leo said. A place where you can be safe, where our child can be safe. Yuna smiled for real this time. No fear, no apology, just joy. I want to make it a home, she said. Not a cell, not a cage, a real home. You deserve that, Leo said. She touched his face, fingers large and soft. You gave me the one thing I thought I'd never have again. What's that? She leaned in, eyes locked with his hope. He smiled. Then they turned together and walked toward the far side of the cave, already making plans. She was no longer hiding, no longer curled in corners. She stood tall, shoulders back, hand resting proudly on her belly. A belly that once felt like a curse now carried the miracle of something new. Rain fell gently outside the cave. Not a storm, not a flood, just quiet rain, soft and steady. It was the first rain Yuna had ever stood under without fear. Her skin shimmered in the cool drops. Her belly was full now, round and firm with life. She moved slowly, but there was grace in every step. Inside, Leo waited, stirring a pot of stew. He had built shelves, laid soft furs over the stone, carved a fire pit from the rock itself. Their home was no longer a shelter, it was real, shaped by hands that cared, by love that grew over time. Yuna stepped in from the rain, smiling. Leo turned. How's the sky? Washing the world clean, she said. He dried her shoulders with a cloth, then leaned down and pressed his ear gently to her belly. Her skin was warm. He smiled. She's kicking again, he whispered. Yuna chuckled. She always kicks when you talk. She likes my voice, he said proudly. Yuna walked to the mirror Leo had made for her, just polished metal, but enough to see herself. She stood tall, tracing the roundness of her stomach with one hand. Her reflection used to hurt her. Now it made her proud. Her body had changed. Her arms were stronger, her hips wider, her back ached at night, and her legs carried extra weight. But none of it felt like a burden anymore. This was the body that held a future. I was wrong all my life, she said quietly, still looking at her reflection. Leo looked up. About what I thought being big made me broken. Leo walked to her and wrapped his arms around her from behind, hands resting over hers. You were never broken, he said. You were just waiting to grow something more. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't hide them. You gave me a reason to live, she said. You gave me a life to protect, he replied. As night fell, they curled together under the furs. Yona laid on her side, and Leo rested close, hand never leaving her belly. They spoke of the future, what they would name her, what her voice might sound like, what her laugh might be. And then the first pain came. Yuna gasped softly. Leo sat up. What is it? She held her stomach. Pressure, it's starting. He didn't panic. He knelt beside her, kissed her forehead. We're ready, we've prepared. I'll be with you through everything. Hours passed. The fire burned low. Yuna groaned through the pain, sweat on her brow, breath short, but she never screamed. Her strength was quiet, steady, deep. Leo held her hand through it all, whispering soft words. You're doing it. You're incredible. I'm here. And then, a cry filled the cave. Sharp, loud, alive. Tears rolled down Yuna's cheeks. She reached out and Leo placed the tiny bundle in her arms, their daughter, warm, breathing real. Yana looked down at the small, perfect face, her skin a soft glow, her hair light and silky. Her fingers curled against Yuna's chest. Leo sat beside them, unable to stop smiling, tears in his eyes. Yuna rocked slowly, body trembling. My body did this, she whispered. Yes, Leo said. Your body gave life. And I'll spend mine loving both of you. She kissed the child's head, then looked at Leo. You changed me. No, he said. You were always this strong. I just reminded you. They laid the child down between them, watching her sleep. Yuna rested, her head on Leo's shoulder. The three of them, close under soft light and stone. I want to teach her to love herself, Yuna said. No matter what shape she grows into. We will, Leo said, together. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sky was clearing. Stars peeked out, blinking gently. Inside the cave, a miracle slept, and beside her a woman who was once cast away, now a mother, a warrior, a queen of her own fate, and a man, small in size but mighty in heart, who had held her when the world did in single quotes t. This was no longer a story of survival. It was a story of becoming. Of healing, of love that defied every law of biology, every rule of their worlds. And in that hidden corner of the desert, the child of two impossibilities had been born, not just a baby, a beginning.